Okay, so I don't actually see all of the questions that come through. So if I miss your question, it wasn't intentional. If I skipped over you, it wasn't intentional. Sometimes I see the questions after I'm done with the live cast, unfortunately. If we run long, which we most likely will, 3 or 4 days after the live stream, I will put a clickable playlist, just like I did on Fully Charged Part 1. And we will, you can click through to whatever different relevant areas are relevant to you, whatever you want to re-listen to, whatever. The other thing is that I don't want to feel rushed with this. I really don't want to feel rushed, and I have a lot to share. So if I see we're getting to 2 to 3 hours and I still have half left, I'm going to close it out at an appropriate time, and we're going to come back next week for Fully Charged Part 3. And those of you who didn't watch Fully Charged Part 1, you may feel a little lost in this one because I'll refer to some things. I tend to, when I feel lit up about something, I don't want to go, okay, we're going to do this over the next 6 weeks. When I feel lit up, I need to get it out. If I let it sit for too long, by week 2, I'm like, I'm not interested in this anymore. I'm moving on to some other area of my evolution. You know what I mean? And it doesn't feel as interesting, and I'm not as lit up. And then if I'm not energized and my energy isn't fully in it, then you're not going to feel it either. You know what I mean? So there has to be, my energy has to be in it and fully, into it before. So I don't know if I'll come back for part 3 or not, but I'll go with what we have here. What I'll start with is, for those of you who are not on my email list, what I'll start with is the audio invitation, hang on there. Yeah, the audio invitation that I sent out to my email list. And I'll only go through half of that for about 4 or 5 minutes so that you can come up to speed. I know not everybody on YouTube is on my email list, so I just want you to understand what happened and why I'm here doing part 2 of Fully Charged. So let me go ahead and do that. One moment. I'm just going to share the audio here for a moment, and then we shall be back. Okay.
Hello, beautiful people. So sometimes life is kind of like that, we're invited to take the first step, and then the next step appears. I had absolutely no plans for part 2 of Fully Charged until I was done with part 1. On Wednesday of this week, I'm recording this on Thursday. On Wednesday of this week, I woke up to a download of downloads just coming through to me, which I knew I had to schedule a part 2 and share more. Last Sunday's conversation may have resonated for some, not all of you, and that's cool. That's perfection, because if someone does not resonate, that's just source choosing to experience a different, or choosing to have a different experience through you. And that is always perfect. Feel free to exit here if you prefer, as I'm about to focus my attention on everyone for whom it did resonate. The one viewer comment that I remember most from last Sunday's event was, I think this came from Siafu, I think we are in the process of transforming what it means to be human. Yes, 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 indeed. So welcome, next level humans. From your emails, many of you shared that you felt a new awareness, a more expanded experience being birthed within you. Some of you felt more of your true self blossoming in your awareness, the awakening of more freedom and more liberation. true freedom and true liberation, by the way, which is different than human freedom and human liberation. Some of you talked about the unearthing of hidden illusions, or seeing through the illusions that you didn't see through before. More lifting of the veil of forgetfulness as well. All of this really is just consciousness illuminating itself, because guess what? You all were already all of that you experienced. Our conversation on Sunday's live stream simply helped you to remember what you already knew. You just remembered. I'd like to go deeper, for those of you for whom it did resonate. I'd like to go a little bit deeper into the remembering of our innate state of being fully charged. It's not a state that we get to, it's innate. We simply awaken to this state of being. We simply remember, as many of you did as a result of our gathering on Sunday. This coming Sunday, it may be a smaller, more intimate crowd. I don't know. I seem to think that this fully charged conversation and the state of being fully charged can seem and feel quite foreign when someone is deeply behind a veil of forgetfulness. So I don't know. Perhaps only the 2% will be present, but it matters not. I choose to be there to share what I feel called to share, because I know, this is what I know at the core of my being, I know that more and more of us are being called into a fourth and fifth dimensional experience of freedom and liberation in our human experience. As Siafu said, we are in the process of transforming what it means to be human. So, if a continuation and a deepening of this conversation resonates, I'll see you all this coming Sunday, August 2nd, 2020, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am hoping to leave far more space for Q&A and community sharing on this coming Sunday's live stream as well. Last Sunday was a real deep dive into what fully charged looks and feels like in many different areas of our lives. More of a shining a spotlight on the polarity that exists, some of which may have felt incredibly uncomfortable for some of you because you've never looked at life in the way that you may have been invited to. And it's always an invitation. You can choose to decline the invitation to look at life in that way. That's totally fine. Again, that's just Source choosing to have a different experience. It's not a better experience. It's not, a worse experience. It's just different, right? Some of you resonate with this and you're having a new experience. Some of you did not resonate and you're staying with the old experience. It's totally fine. This coming Sunday is more of a deep dive into remembering and experiencing our natural and innate state of being. I'm also going to talk about how we integrate the polarity that exists. So much more of a deep dive into remembering and experiencing our natural and innate state of being fully charged. That unrivaled inner peace, liberation and freedom that can be experienced. We're going to go there. I would like to ask a favor of some of you.
And the favor that I asked was really just if there's anyone that is experiencing this fully charged state of being, if you would like to share today, and we do have 2 people that from our Conversations with Spirit group that came forward. And I knew that there were people in that group that are experiencing the same thing that I'm experiencing. So I'm glad that they offered to share. Okay, so really focusing on the liberation from fear of pain and liberation from the attachment to pleasure. A lot of times we talk about liberation from pain because we tend to focus on the pain in life, the things that we don't have, the places that we're not yet, blah, 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 and wanting to feel liberation from the mental and emotional misery around that. But there's also liberation from the attachment to pleasure, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Some caveats as we move forward here today. you're already this. You're just here to remember. So I would really like for everyone to say to themselves right now, there's nothing Allison's going to share that my soul don't already know. I'm just here to remember. I already know this. I'm just here to remember. So I am going to use a lot of words, a lot of stories, a lot of analogies, descriptions. None of this is actually required for you to move into this fully charged state, which is really just being fully 100% who you truly are. I'll share how I evolved to this experience, what my journey was like. Your journey may be completely different, and it's totally fine. So don't hold on, don't grasp on to anything that I'm saying here today as the golden ticket. There is no golden ticket. Everybody gets here however they were meant to get here. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. The agenda for today, our journey, our conversation for today will take 4 different forms. Number 1 is integrating the polarity, which includes a downloadable conversation I had with Spirit. And also it'll be in a written audio format as well. Again, my conversations with Spirit is stuff that your soul already knows. It may just serve as a reminder. I'll also share an analogy which may assist in creating the shift. I'll also talk about the ways in which I personally moved into the remembrance, right? Because we're already this, remembrance of my fully charged state. And then I'll end with living fully charged in day-to-day human experience around regular people. Regular sheeple. But living fully charged in regular life and what that feels like, So that's our agenda for today, right, Gia? I know. Gia, where are you sitting on YouTube? You sitting over here too? Or did you move? You're in Vegas with family. Ooh, play the slot machines for me. Okay, so made my window too large. So we're going to talk about integrating the polarity first. And just as a quick analogy, a quick summary for, you forgot to turn off YouTube, a quick summary of last week was really just, we can live life sourcing love, worthiness, fulfillment, peace from outside of ourselves, or we can move into that fully charged state of knowing I don't need to go to this gas pump called lover to charge up. I don't need to go to this gas pump called child to feel fully myself and to feel 100% loved. And anything outside of myself where I'm sourcing that from, accolades from people, appreciation from people, all of that, if you go outside of yourself, that's totally fine. That's an experience you can have in this human experience. There's nothing wrong with that. Let me just say that right now. There's nothing wrong with the way anybody is living. The way you're living is exactly how you're supposed to be living at this phase of your experience. This conversation is for those of you who are just interested. There's an opening where you go, I think I can be more fully my true self. And this is just an opportunity to look at that in a different way. It's not the way, it's not the golden path, it's not the golden ticket, it's not the recipe, it's none of that, okay? It's just me saying, I feel inspired to share this as a result of some conversations that I've had with people. I felt like it would be helpful to some of you, so I'm sharing. I'm just sharing. This is a conversation. I don't typically see myself as a spiritual teacher because teacher means I am telling you something you don't know. And I know that your soul already knows all of this, maybe in a different capacity, maybe in a different way, maybe you say it in a different way, maybe your soul will receive it in a different way, whatever. But I know that your soul already knows everything that I'm sharing here today. So I don't consider myself a spiritual teacher. I'm just a storyteller. Y'all know I'm gonna go off track telling stories. That's just how I share my stuff, right? I'm a storyteller and I'm a conversationalist. I like to bring people together and have conversations that are uplifting, that takes us into another space of being, that allows us to see more of ourselves I'm just a conversationalist and a storyteller, bit of a humorist. So just be prepared. So that's kind of how we're going to do it. So let's talk about polarity, because a lot of what I talked about last week, when I went through all of these different examples of what fully charged looks and feels like in many different areas of our lives, and when we're not feeling fully charged, what it looks like, right? So we went through all of that. That's polarity. Polarity says it's that, well, you know what's interesting? Actually, let me do this first. Well, yeah, let me start with what polarity means. This morning, I woke up to this beautiful awareness. Something nudged me and said, go look at what polarity means in the dictionary. And it means the state of having opposite, contradictory tendencies, opinions, or aspects. And we can have that in family relationships, love relationships, money, health, career, spirituality, right? All the different areas. Polarity means in family relationships, I'm having this relationship with a family member. It's really not that great. I'd love for it to be great. That's a polarity. It's not great, want it to be great. Love relationships. My lover and I, we have a fantastic relationship, and there are areas where it's really not so great. Polarity, right? Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. Some of you in the love relationships category are like, I really want to have a lover, but I don't. Polarity, right? With money, it's can be a lot of things. It could be, I have a steady stream of money coming in, but I seem to lose it as quickly as it comes in. Polarity. It could be, I just never have enough, and I really want to have enough. Polarity. Health, I feel great most of the time, but there's this nagging thing that just is always there in my body. Polarity. Healthy, a little bit not. Or it could be, I'm never feeling good. I'm just never feeling good, and I want to feel really good. That's polarity. Career, I want to be at this particular place in my career, but I'm not. Polarity, right? Spirituality, and I'll bring it to this relevance here. You can be saying, I love the state of being fully charged and I'm there a lot, but there are places where I'm just not there. And it's just so hard for me to really move into that place. Polarity. Or it could be, I hear what Allison's saying, but I have never been there in my life, but I want to be there. Polarity. Okay. Not that there's any place to be, by the way, life is just happening. Okay. And we're talking about the integration of polarity first. So this morning, again, I was nudged to go look up the dictionary meaning of integrate. And it means to combine two things into a whole. Combine two things into a whole. Consider that definition with the polarities that I just described, right? How do you combine the feeling of not enoughness, like I'm not, I feel like I don't have a lover yet, I don't have the money yet, I don't have the career yet, I don't have the family relationships where I want it, I don't have the lover relationship, all these things. How can I combine that feeling of I'm not enough and the desire to have a different experience in whatever you're experiencing it, and integrate the polarity? And we'll talk about what the integration may look like and why we want to integrate the polarity. To combine two things into a whole, because everything that we're experiencing is source having its fun. Everything that we're experiencing is source doing its thing, having fun through us, which is why if somebody resonates with this, great. Source wants to have fun with you resonating with this. And if you don't resonate with this, great. Source wants to have fun with you resonating with something else other than this, which is totally fine. So what I will do next is, I didn't bring it up. Did I open that? I opened that. Hang on. What I will do next. So yesterday, in thinking about this event, it's so funny how my preparation for this event happens. And I'll share this because it may be beneficial for some of you to leave space for life to happen that way. With events like this, it just sort of lands in my experience. Like I said, I didn't plan this, just sort of lands in my experience. And I have like a fogginess around what I want to share. Like, I don't know exactly. I have a couple of topics that I want to share, but I don't know exactly. And as the day comes nearer, when I wake up in the morning or just before I go to bed at night, I'll get all this download stuff coming in into my experience. And I'm like making notes, which I don't always have to make notes for, for our conversation with spirit events. I'm not making notes. I just show up and let it happen. But then there are other times like this where I feel I want to have what came through because there's so much and I can't remember it. And I want to remember it in the way that I received it. So I do make notes sometimes, other times I don't. Okay, so I sat down with my non-physical co-creators, and I said, what advice would you give to others on integrating the polarity that exists between the awareness of being human and the awareness of being divine? Because it's really just remembering who you are, shaking my camera, aren't I? It's really just a remembrance of remembering who you are versus not remembering. Is really the gap, so just be aware of that. So I'm not going to go through the whole audio. I was going to play it, but I'm not. I'm going to give you a downloadable link so you can download it. What I am going to do, and the download link will give you the 8-minute audio and also the written version of the 8-minute audio. One click will download them both to your computer. What I want to do is highlight a couple parts of that message. And again, you can listen to the full message once you download it. I'll give you the link in a moment. So here's one thing in the answer to that question. There's no one answer either, okay? It can mean a lot of things. In the polarity is beauty. And the contrast allows you to see the opportunity for what more you want to experience here. Embracing the polarity is part of how you advance your soul's purpose here. For anything that you hold, this is really important. For anything that you hold in darkness, you hold yourself there as well. So if you look at, I don't have enough money. I shouldn't be here. I'm resisting being here. I'm trying to get out of here. All of that is resistance, a form of massive resistance, and you're holding yourself in darkness. When you hold yourself in that dark place, aspects of you in that dark place, when you hold the situation in a dark place, you also hold yourself in that dark place as well. So that's one thing that jumped out of me after I recorded that conversation with Spirit. Another thing that jumped out of me was polarity will always be a part of your experience. And as quickly as you choose to fully embrace polarity, you then fully embrace the totality of the human experience, all of which is beautiful. It is also founded upon the premise that you are source, choosing to have many different experiences, not just the light, as in we are light, not just the light experiences. The polarity of perceived darkness, the polarity of perceived challenges will always be a part of your experience, beloved. Let it be. And if you are able to let it be, then you're fully embracing polarity as simply a part of who you are. All experiences are part of who you are. All experiences were chosen by design, chosen to be a part of the plethora of powerful experiences, dancing with what it means to be human. Another part of the message was, so you embrace it, knowing it is part of what you came here to experience, and there's nothing wrong with polarity. Polarity brings you clarity. This is really good. Polarity brings you clarity around what you most desire, around what you want more of, around what you want less of. It exists for that very purpose, clarity and choosing. To embrace it simply means to be in a place of neutrality, such that you're able to see without judgment all that exists, and then you simply choose what you want more of. So that's part of the conversation with Spirit. Let me just breathe for a second. I'm gonna invite everyone to just breathe for a second. Let that land wherever it wants to land. And I'm going to go into why integrate the polarity. Why integrate the polarity? I woke up this morning after receiving that message, and woke up to what I'm going to share with you next. I woke up to look up the dictionary meaning of integrate. And then as soon as I looked up the dictionary meaning of integrate, this why integrate came through, which I think is really, really powerful. At least it was for me. Don't know if it's going to be for you. And again, as I go through all of this, please remember, take whatever resonates, take whatever resonates, take whatever resonates. Something doesn't resonate, just go, that one didn't resonate for me, move it on, right? Why integrate? When two experiences are not integrated, getting fully flushed with energy right now. When two experiences are not integrated, our energy and our vibration is split between resistance and integration and acceptance. When we integrate our energy, it can be alchemized, meaning we have an experience of transformation much more easily as well. And I'll repeat that because that's really, really powerful. For those of you who are in conversations, for those of you who are in conversations with Spirit, we're meeting Friday night at 8 p.m. for our event, which is called Awakening to Abundance. And as I was receiving this, I was told that this is a pretty important part of what is going to be shared in that event as well on Friday at 8 o'clock. When two experiences are not integrated, our energy and our vibration is split between resistance and acceptance. When we integrate our energy, it can be alchemized, meaning we have an experience of transformation. And the last thing that I want to share under that is no matter which side we're focused on, no matter which side of the polarity we choose to be focused on, everything is source playing a role through us. Everything is source playing a role through us. So all of it is divine. All of it is divine. But we tend to reject, resist, fight against whatever we don't want. And we hold it in this place of disregard, or I don't want this, I want this to be done, all these different things. But when we can move into that space of integrating the polarity, and let me just share a couple of examples around that using family, love, money, health, career, spirituality. So let's just say you're in a family relationship and there's some discord there. You can move into a lot of, I don't want this to continue. I want this to end. I don't want this to continue. I want this to end. I want this to be more harmonious. I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want it to be this way. I really don't want it to be this way. And because you're so focused on not wanting it to be that way, your energy can't be anything but split. So it can't shift. It can't alchemize. It can't transform because there's a splitting of the energy that's happening because you haven't integrated the polarities. So you integrate the polarities simply by saying, all of this is welcomed. And this is really hard for humans. I don't want the welcoming of a negative relationship. Why would I ever welcome that? It's not saying I want more of this. It's saying all of this is source doing its thing. All of this is life doing its thing. All of this, this is another aspect of this. It's really hard for us to accept. Whenever you look at anything that's in discord or, a lot of contrast is happening, if you are source, then you are also a player in that, right? This is next level humans. Okay, next level humans. We're going there, okay? when something of tremendous discord or feels very negative is happening, you can look at that and go, I could see how that could be me as well. I could have done that. Had I had that experience, I probably could have done that. And you integrate it rather than going, whoa, murderer. Wow, how, whoa, why did that, look, and you're looking outside yourself, right? But when you're integrating polarity, you're going, you know, if I lived the life that they lived, I probably could do that too. Because in fact, if you are they and you are, and they are you already did that. Source, which is what you are, has already done that. So through the person, right? Whether it was an act of free will or an act of predetermination or whatever, we're all one, we're all the same. And when you can look at the situation and go, yeah, I could see that I could do that too. If I were them, probably could. Rather than the pushing away, the resistance, the demonizing, and all of that. When you go there, you hold that thing in the darkness, and you can't hold it in the darkness unless you're there, standing in the darkness, holding it in darkness as well. So in family relationships, love relationships, you just go, all of this is part of what I came to experience. All of this is me. All of this is hence my shirt, a reflection of what's happening within me. We're all integrated. It's all here for me. And if you focus on the fact that this is all here for me, it's all good. It's all good. It's all here. And you can go, well, how is it good that this person murdered that person? How's it good that this person said this to me? How's it good that this thing happened in my relationship? How's it good? And it's not that you stay in an abusive relationship or something like that. It's not that. It's like just knowing that life is indeed a reflection, and it's here for me. It's reflecting something back that I need to pay attention to. And when you recognize that everything happening in your experience is a reflection of what you're supposed to pay attention to, what is inviting you, it's not a should, you don't have to, but it's inviting you to pay attention to something. And when you know that everything happening in your experience is inviting you to pay attention to something, it's very easy to integrate the polarity so that your energy is no longer split. It's kind of like if somebody watched last week's live stream and they didn't resonate, and they send me an email saying, I didn't resonate with that, I think blah, 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 right? I can go into resistance. Like, what do you mean? I gave my all there. I know this to be true for me. And, you could look at the other person with some sort of, they're not approving of you. So now you're feeling some kind of way about it, right? Or you can say exactly what I said, which is, if you don't agree, and if it doesn't resonate, that's perfect. Source is simply choosing to have another experience through you. And when you do that, you feel this letting go of the heavy energy around, they didn't approve of what I said. There's this letting go and this looseness and this, it just feels light. It just feels like there's this airiness and this spaciousness around it because you're letting it be. And there's no resistance around it, right? Okay, now I'm going to go to your comments. I'm going to shift to an analogy to create, potentially create the shift into, an analogy to facilitate more of the shift into becoming more fully charged. But before I do that, let me go to comments here. Rachel is saying, I was literally being told the same thing this morning, embracing the contrast and just letting it be. Maybe they were talking to you and me at the same time this morning. Embracing the contrast and just letting it be without judging myself or trying to resist it. Beautiful, because a natural unearthing of a very distinct polarity was coming up within me. And for me to see it and let go, the releasing of judgment is so key here. Yes, yes. And in our human form, it's so easy to go into judgment, because we were raised that way. Anytime we did something wrong, what we get? Judgment, right? So we are very heavily conditioned to perceive everything from a place of judgment and a place of not good enough, or I'm not good enough, they're not good enough, something's wrong with them, they're wrong, I'm right. We are very conditioned to be in that place. And that still comes up for me. I have to breathe and move into that place of integration in order to let it go now. And there are many other ways and processes that I used in the past to let go of the resistance that I was feeling. Now it's really just moving into that place of fully charged. And once I move it, and I'll talk about what I actually do in the moment to get there, but I'll do that toward the end. But for me now, it's just moving into that place of fully charged. And I literally, no lie, literally start giggling. And I start laughing because everything looks very comical from that place of fully charged. You just move into that bliss and airiness and lightness and awareness of who you truly are, and everything. It's like this natural releasing happens. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. What I'll go into now is a little bit of an analogy that may assist you in creating the shift into your true self. When I say fully charged, it's really just being very into who you truly are. So I don't know if some of you have ever booked an Airbnb. Hard to do now while Rona's in town. Rona's still in town? Ever since people talk about Rona, I'm like, Rona's still in town? She's still making her world tour. I didn't buy any tickets. Some people bought front row seat tickets to Rona's show. Some people bought backstage passes. They're now on the other side. Rona's still in town. I didn't buy any tickets to that show. She's making her world tour, but I'm choosing not to attend. Although some people try to suck me into backstage passes. They're making masks mandatory now, which I'm like, okay, whatever. When you are aware that there's an energetic thing at play here, you just want to go, humans, masks ain't gonna protect you. You need to change your energy, boo. Change your focus. Masks ain't gonna do a damn thing. But if people believe that masks will do something, then their belief becomes their reality as well. So I guess in a sense, masks will probably do something. I don't know. I went to a restaurant. I try to stay out of the places where masks are mandatory because I really am not comfortable with a mask, but will wear masks for food. Will wear masks for food. I went to this Caribbean restaurant and Rona who, exactly. Rona who. Went to this Caribbean restaurant. Y'all know I always digress. Just endure my digression. It's a story. Okay. Went to this Caribbean restaurant and I saw the sign. Now everybody has a sign now that says no mask, no entry. And I go, whatever. I always have a mask in my bag just in case. Freak out nation happens, whatever. So I'm like, all right, I need my Caribbean food today. So I'm gonna put my mask on to get my Caribbean food. Went to the restaurant, got my Caribbean food, takeout, and I come back out. This guy, he's in his car. I'm wearing a mask, okay? You will know what I look like, right? This guy in a car comes out of his car as I was exiting the Caribbean restaurant, and he's like, "Hey!" I'm like, "Oh God!" You know how that hey that screams, "I'm about to hit on you." That was the hey, right? And I'm like, hello, and he's like, I saw you inside getting your food. I didn't want to get in line because, that 6 feet distancing thing, but you taking? I said, first of all, I took one look at the stomach sticking out that t-shirt and I felt very taken. Yes, sir, I'm taken. Sorry, if you have a stomach, I'm not. Flat abs got to go. Nice teeth, nice smile. Flat abs. I took one look at that t-shirt, that stomach sticking out of that t-shirt. He was cute in the face, but that stomach though, I was like, yeah, I'm taking. That's straight up truth. I was like, yes, I'm taking. And then I said to him, I was like, now how you know who you hitting on? I'm still here with a mask and you don't know if my teeth are jacked up. All you seeing is my eyes. That's all you seeing. How you gonna hit on somebody? Like, how are you gonna hit on somebody while Rona is in town and everybody required to wear masks? Like, how you know what you hitting on? You know what I mean? He goes, I don't know. I just had a feeling. I'm like, whatever. Anyway, back to my spiritual stuff. Rachel said these people be mad desperate. Men will be men, Gia said. Indeed. You know what he was looking at? I know what he was looking at. He was looking at boot. I don't know if any of you have a name for your booty because your booty sticks out quite a bit. Name for my booty is boot, right? Sometimes I sit boot down and like, girl, when we go out there, do not attract attention. And she'd be like, okay. And then when we get out there, boot be saying, hey boys, what's up? And she'd be making eye contact and having conversations with men behind my back. I'm just saying, okay? He was having a conversation with boot. He wasn't having a conversation with me. Anyway. I have a derriere that's very noticeable. Let's just say that. Thank God only the top half is showing up here, right? As Boop. You know what I call my booty Boop? Because this guy saw me one time. He's like, girl, you look like a black Betty Boop. And I'm like, yeah, I know what you're looking at. You're looking at Boop back here. All right, back to spiritual things. Latoya said Allison loves those washboard apps. They don't need to be washboard. It's not necessarily that it needs to be washboard, but I don't need to see it. Okay, flat, not necessarily washboard, but flat. Okay, you know, I say that, but let me tell you something, and y'all will probably be shocked that I'm actually admitting this right now. Okay. Rachel says, I'm about washboard indeed. Gia said, just not the big daddy. Yeah. Let me just say this quite honestly, and y'all may be shocked that I'm actually saying this, but I have my preferences that what I'm naturally attracted to. 6 foot tall, nice teeth, nice smile, flat stomach. Y'all know the mantra by now. But, you know, if for whatever reason, I happen to connect, let's say somebody was watching my video and they go, oh, she's single, let me connect with her, let me send her an email. And they connect with me, right? And we start having this connection and having this beautiful connection. And he does not look like that, but I feel a heartfelt, emotional connection with that person. It's quite possible that I would go there. And I will admit, I'm actually quite open to that. Now I may change my mind if you show up and the stomach's sticking out, but I'm actually quite open to that possibility. I'm not as closed as you might think I am. So if you ever see me with a short guy with a big stomach and jacked up teeth, just go, she was in the zone. She was in the spiritual zone. I'm just saying, just saying, I can't do it. You good. I don't know. I think it's possible that I could go there, but then again, the universe knows what I want. So, hey. All right, enough digression. Back to the analogy to create a shift. Okay. If you guys have ever booked, and she is like, no, I don't know. I think I might be, you know, if the spirit moves, if the Holy Spirit moves, girl, I might be open to that. I don't know. You never know. You just never know. If you've ever booked an Airbnb, the only Airbnb I've ever booked is to Trinidad. When you book an Airbnb, there's always a host, right? When you get to your destination, there's a host. So when you get to the destination, the host gives you the key. If you didn't, like when I go to Trinidad, I don't need anybody to tell me about Trinidad because I was born and raised there. But if you go to a location and you book an Airbnb, the host of the Airbnb is usually telling you things like, here's great places to visit, here's how to get taxis, where to get taxis, where to shop, where to eat. They're usually telling you a whole bunch of things. They're hosting your stay at that location, in that country, on your vacation or whatever. If anything goes awry, you check in with the host. You know, if something's up with the room, the microwave's not working or whatever, you call the host. The host is always there to facilitate your stay. And I share that analogy to make this distinction. You are not your physical body. Your physical body is hosting your stay on planet Earth, right? when you perceive yourself to be this physical body, like right now, in this phase of my evolution, I do not perceive myself to be this physical body. I very much see this physical body as the host of my human experience. So this body, this physical body is the host. So whenever something is up with this physical body is having some kind of experience, I always give that experience to the host. It's not me. So now you don't have to walk through life going, the host is this. And there's a lot of spiritual people out there walk through life going, the body did this, the body did this, the body did that. You don't have to walk through life. Just be aware that the physical body is not you. So for the rest of this conversation, we're going to move into the belief that the physical body is not me. It's just the host of this experience. The host really likes 6 foot tall, nice teeth, nice smile, flat stomach. The host really enjoys that experience. Me, I don't care. The true me does not really care. The true me is focused on what the experience is here and what my soul's purpose is in everything that I experience. Somebody wrote to me, Nandu allows them, yeah. Somebody wrote to me and said, how can you just be comfortable with these frivolous, flirtatious relationships that are shallow? And it's because my host is having a real good time. And I'm here and I don't need or not need it. I'm very neutral. I'm not going after frivolous, flirtatious friendships. It just showed up in my experience and my host wanted to have fun with that. So my host is having a whole lot of fun with that, and although very recently I thought I was being beckoned into a relationship and then I went, well, but I'm not ready. I discovered I'm not ready. Because here's the thing, with a real deep personal relationship, I know it can be playful. I know it can be fun, but at some point in time, one of y'all shit's going to come up. You're going to have to deal with it, right? With short-term flirtatious friendships, it's pure fun. I don't ever have to deal with their shit. They don't ever have to deal with my shit. It's just pure fun. And that's kind of the zone that I'm in right now. Although that could change on a dime. Tomorrow I wake up in another zone and something else happens, But right now I'm just having fun, But this host is what's having fun. I'm just watching this host have fun with everything, just arises and the host is having fun with it. When you can see you as not the host, when you can see you as this eternal, indestructible being, and this host is having this experience, what happens is it creates this spaciousness. For example, if I injured my knee, which I did this week and performed healing on myself, but let's say I injured my knee. The way that you can move into full integration of the polarities of knee hurting and full healing is Allison, this host, is having this experience. I'm fine, but the host has some pain in her right knee. I'm fine. The host has some pain. And when you go, the host has some pain, the body has some pain. For whatever reason, at least for me, it creates space between who I truly am and the physical experience that I'm having. Many times, simply creating that space causes healing to occur because I don't feel attached to releasing it. I see it as happening in the physical apparatus. I see it as happening in the host. Just like, the host is having this pain in the knee. I'm fine. I'm not having any pain. The physical body is having some pain. I'm fine. I can't have pain. Physical body can, host can't. I'm fine. Physical body can have pain. in that spaciousness, you can simply become the witness of the pain that is occurring. But this knowing, I don't know if this will happen for everyone, but for me, when I do that, the pain reduces because I'm not so tuned into the pain and focused on the pain. There's this spaciousness that it creates. And I go, this body's having some pain in the knee. And just by saying that, this spaciousness gets created, and I have that spaciousness invites me into the knowing that I'm always okay. I, eternal me, is always okay. Physical me, a little bit of pain in the knee. That's the host. The host is having some pain. That's all right. I'm fine though. I'm fine. The host, the body, is having some pain. And that separation you can play with. I'm just going to use the word practice. That's too efforty. You can play with that. Today, I was walking my dog and I was playing with it. I was like, host is having a walk with the dog. Look at that. The host is looking at the clouds. The body is looking at the clouds. The body is having a walk with the dog. And there was this separation, of course, when I go there and that separation happens, I move into bliss very quickly. It's one of the ways in which it happens for me. I'll share 7 more ways later. That's one of the ways in which it happens for me. And you can move into that. If you are able to play with that during the day, you become accustomed to feeling like you're not this physical form. Because everything that's happening, there's a consideration that this body is having this experience. I'm fine. I'm eternal. I'm indestructible. This body is having some knee issues, but I'm indestructible. And when you can play with that, don't do it like it's a thing you have to do to get somewhere. Just don't go there. Okay. You don't have to do this. You don't even have to do anything that I'm sharing here today. There's nothing you have to do. Just please be aware. There's nothing you have to do. You're already that. But you can do things to remind yourself that you're not this physical form. And so that's one of the ways in which I play with it. And we can live in that spaciousness. I even go there in my parenting. Like I'll be having a conversation with my son and I'll be like, parental me is having this conversation with this other being. I am here though. The conversation's happening over here. And I create some space between who I am and this physical thing. Now, in truth, everything's all one. So we're just playing with what we can perceive to be separate, right? But in truth, the body, the soul, everything's all one anyway, right? We're all one. But this is one of the ways in which I play, and it allows me to have, like I got a text message yesterday from somebody, and I felt a little something about it. And then instantly I was like, oh, look at Allison having a little something about that. But I'm fine. And that instantly created space where I didn't feel it as much anymore. And I can process it and transmute it much more easily because I know it's not me. I'm here. Allison's having a little something about that, you know? And when you are able to create that spaciousness, sometimes it pulls you into that space of being fully charged pretty quickly, or the opportunity to being pulled into that space of fully charged much more easily, because you're not attached to what's happening. You're very quickly becoming the witness. It's another way to become the witness to what is happening, such that you can process it on an entirely different level. When you're constantly moving about this planet, knowing I'm here, host is having its experience. Body's having its experience. I'm here. Body's having its experience. Okay. It creates such spaciousness that it allows you to move in and out of what's actually happening very, very easily. Okay. So I'm complete with that. Let me just see here. Rachel's saying, I swear we parallel all the time. I know we do. I literally had the same experience with my knee last night. No, she and I are soul sisters, man. Damn, for real? Wow. Gia is saying fun way to look at life. Yeah, it is. And if you don't go, I have to do this process where I am not my physical body. Don't do it that way. Just, you're already not your physical body. So whether you do the process or not, whether you play with this or not, you're already not this host. You're already not that. And when you get dead, you can know real quick, you're not this, right? And you can play with it. Just don't tell your friends, because they will call the people with the white straight jackets for you. Just don't do that. Okay. You're already not your physical body. She said, yes, they will. Just don't. I have some conversations with people in our CWS monthly events, where it's like, if any psychologist looks in on that conversation, they'll be like, prescribe some whatever for them to get out of this delusional state that they're not themselves, They will put you in white straitjackets. We'll talk about more how to, live this out in regular life too. So we're going to play with that in all of what we're going to go through now. So now I'm going to move into, if anybody has any questions, feel free to post them, anything that you're thinking about that you feel like you want clarity on. I'm going to go into ways in which I personally moved into this remembrance, but I will share again caveats. You're already there. You just don't remember that you're there. You're already fully charged. There's nothing to do to become fully charged. It's just you're suffering a little bit of amnesia. That's it. And sometimes a little bit of amnesia therapy may work. And so here we are having amnesia therapy so that you can remember that you're already that. You're already that. Continue to say that to yourself. This is not a process that I need to follow. I'm already all of what Allison's talking about. I'm already that. Just keep saying that to yourself. I'm already that. There's nothing I need to grab onto here. I'm already that. What I'll also share as a caveat is I never set an intention to be in unison with my true self, which is what I call fully charged. Never really set that intention. It just gradually happened. And it's nothing that you need to set an intention to get to, right? You don't have to set an intention to get to anywhere. Just know that this experience, like with my friend that I shared that personal recording from last week in last week's event, something they said to me was, I just felt in listening to what you shared that opportunity exists for me too. And just from you sharing that, I know that at some point in my experience, I will be there. And it could be instant, it could be tomorrow, it could be next 6 years. But you're already that. It's just a remembering of who you truly are. That's all this is a remembering that you are such an eternal state of being that you don't need to move outside of yourself to feel love, to feel worthiness, to feel completeness, to feel everything that you already are. I'm going to share with you 7 ways in which, and I really had to sit down and think about this, because it isn't something that I said, ooh, I want to be in this fully charged state where nothing outside of myself feels like I need it. I never set that up as an intention or anything. So I didn't quite know how to describe this as you guys were sending me questions. And so I had to sit with it and go, well, what is it that how did I move here? What are the different aspects? And I may not have articulated every single one of them in this list of 7 things, but this is what came to mind for me. And some of them I'll breeze by really quickly. Some of it I will spend much more time on. This is not a recipe. Again, there's no recipe. There's no one path to getting to anything. Everyone has their own unique experiences. Some of this may resonate, some of this may not. Just feel your fully chargedness without any of this, and also feel into the potentiality for integrating whatever feels like polar opposites, right? Whether you feel into this or not, just integrate it. This is all part of the human dance. It's just don't resonate, but hey, she does. It's cool, and just feel the lightness and the airiness of the neutrality that you can be in around any of it. Rachel is saying it's interesting because I used to do that separation in the beginning of my spiritual journey. It feels otherworldly for sure. But for me, what resonates most is that I'm both human and divine. Yes, I'm going to talk about that in the end too, because beating my human experience feels like I'm looking down on my humanity, because saying I'm not human. I don't know that I ever say that I don't feel like when I use the words I'm not human, it's the awareness of my true state of being. It's not a looking down on my human state of being. That's not what I feel when I say I'm not human. When I say that I am aware that I am eternal and I am not this physical form, I feel more of I'm dancing in this host. It's, like when you book an Airbnb, you don't look down on your host. They're part of the experience. They're part of what you came to experience on your vacation or whatever. So I don't ever feel like I'm denigrating this human form. It just feels like I'm much more than it, right? When you book an Airbnb and the host gives you the keys and they tell you all of this, they're not your vacation. They're parts of the experience you came here to have. They're helping you to have an even better experience, right? So for me, when I think about I am not human, I feel expansion. I am much more than this. I don't feel looking down upon my physical body and looking down upon this human experience. I love this human experience. I love it. I love being in this body. I love the skin I'm in. I love everything about this human experience. And I know I'm way more than that. So for me, I don't ever say, when I say I'm not this physical form, I'm not this human body, I don't feel like it's less than. I feel like it's a temporary state that I can be in, and I'm way more than that. That's what I feel when I say I'm not human. I feel expanded. I don't feel constriction. So again, everyone experiences that in another way. So if you hear me say I'm not human and you feel constriction, then don't say it that way. That's not your way to experience it. You're supposed to experience it in another way. Let me see. And I'll come to you, Latoya, in a second. It also feels like an integration rather than a separation now. Integration rather than a separation. I guess I feel both. Because I'm moving in and out of this awareness that I am not this physical form. I'm much more than that. I'm much more expanded. But I can have fun with the human form. So yes, I feel the fluid integration all the time. I don't ever feel like I'm not this experience that's happening here. I feel like I'm witnessing the experience that's happening here, which is feeling kind of light, and I'm much more than that too. So I feel it all. And we'll talk about the integration of all in a second. Latoya is saying, I love the idea of my true self already being everything that I need at this moment or all that I will ever need. It's still okay to have many experiences in life and I can always choose to change. Yes, choose to change my experiences at any time. Yes, and I feel that too. And I feel a full integration of all of this in my day-to-day human experience, which is what I'll talk to in a second. Okay, so some of the ways in which I naturally, this wasn't a recipe, I just kind of naturally moved into this experience this way. And then I'll have Siafu share her experience of being fully charged. And then I'll read something from Anne about being fully charged too. Okay, so one thing that became the norm for me was cultivating stillness as a way of being. So what I mean by that is there was a certain point in my journey where, I have a lot of stillness in my life anyway, right? I go to bed at 10, 11 o'clock at night, and I'm not crawling out of bed until 10, 11 o'clock the next day. So I'm literally laying in bed for 12 hours a day. That's how I want to have my experience right now. Sometimes less, sometimes more. Sometimes I literally lay in bed until 2 o'clock, there is, and I'm not sleeping the whole time. Like when I go into bed at night, I'm having conversations with spirit. I'm just being still. Sometimes I'm watching an uplifting video. I love to end the day watching something uplifting or being in an uplifted place, like really focused in on a very uplifting experience. So there's some of that happening in that 12 hours when I'm in my bedroom. There's even when I'm sleeping, like I can sleep for about 6 hours and then I naturally awaken. During that naturally awake, we're kind of half sleep, half awake time, which for me is about, I don't know, 7 o'clock in the morning or so. I am not getting out of bed at 7 o'clock in the morning. 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm in this like in between sleep and wake state. I get a lot of downloads in that time. And I may wake up and have conversations with spirit at that time as well. For those of you who are in our monthly CWS event, that's the time of day when I'm listening to the divine message for the week. And I'm contemplating it and kind of moving with it sometimes. Sometimes it's at the end of the day. And then I fall back to sleep again. And then I wake up again around 10:30 in the morning, typically. Between 10 and 11-ish. I don't start my workday until about noon, 1 o'clock. So I have a lot of stillness in my day. At the end of the day, after having a lot of conversations with spirit, with clients, one-on-one clients, etc., doing phone calls, that kind of thing, I often just go sit out on my deck and I'm back in stillness again. And so one of the things that happened for me, so stillness is a very regular part of my human experience. And I don't know about each of you, everybody has their own experience. Stillness is a natural state of being for me. I don't have to schedule it. It just sort of happens in my day. It's a part of my human experience. If your human experience is just one human activity after another, one human activity after another, one human activity after another, and there's no pause for stillness, try stillness. Just try it. One of the things that happened for me is in moving into much more of an expanded awareness that I am not this physical body, I'm much more than that. I would literally sit on my deck and just ponder that. I would just ponder that. But it wasn't an activity that I scheduled. It wasn't a thing that I was intentionally doing. I just felt, this feels so beautiful to contemplate. I just want to sit here and contemplate the fact that I am more than this physical body. That I am eternal, that I'll never die, that I'll move on from this experience to another non-dimensional, non-physical experience. In another dimension, I contemplate the fact that I'm having this experience here, and because of I am a multidimensional being, I'm having a lot more experiences in other dimensions as well. And this state is very temporary. And it just felt beautiful to simply sit and contemplate that. It wasn't something I pre-planned. It was something that I simply enjoyed contemplating. And it did contribute to the deepening of my awareness that I'm far more than this physical body. Another way in which stillness contributed to this awareness that I can be fully charged and that I don't need anything outside of myself is I went into stillness for everything. Stillness became, and it still is now, the norm for me. So if I'm having a disagreement with my child, I go into stillness. If I'm having some financial issue, I go into stillness. If I'm trying to understand why something happened in my life, I go into stillness. If I'm trying to make a decision about something, I go into stillness. If I don't understand what's happening in my life, I go into stillness. And stillness for me is not necessarily meditation. I actually don't meditate much at all, unless I feel naturally led into meditation. Some people latch on to meditation as I got to do this, otherwise I won't feel good. And there's a video clip on that in the last session. I'm not there. So, and I was there at a certain point in my life. I was literally meditating 3 hours a day, an hour and a half in the morning and an hour and a half in the afternoon. And I mean, real deep meditation, right? As a practice, that's what I did. And then I moved into, the more you move into the, what happens sometimes is when I contemplate my fully charged state, I go there and then I become all giddy. And that's what just happened. It happens all the time. Don't call the people in the white jackets. It happens all the time. The more you realize that you're already that, the less your attachment to pleasurable things such as meditation or whatever else feels pleasurable to you, the less you're attached to that. And the attachments, just as I said in the last session, the attachments just kind of fall away. And you don't feel like you need to do any particular thing to be in that giddy, blissful state. Come back, Allison, come back. I said to a guy the other day, I was like, even if we were to be together, boo, you're going to have to be fully understanding of the fact that this is an open relationship because I'm already in love. And if life is making love to me and you standing there, you might get all up in your feelings about that. He thought that was pretty funny. Because this does happen and nothing is triggering it other than me knowing that I'm already that, right? And the bliss just washes over me and I literally start laughing. There are mornings when I wake up in my bed, which is why I'm glad I don't have a man waking up in my bed with me. There are mornings when I wake up in my bed and I open my eyes and I just start laughing. I start giggling, I start laughing because I move into that state of being, which is trying to overtake me right now. And I'll start laughing because that happens, you know? Okay, come back, Allison. Come back to humanness. Okay. So I go into stillness for everything and making, yeah, okay. Ooh. This will happen sometimes. So get ready for it. If you're moving into next level human, this does happen. Like I'll be driving my car and this happens. I'm able to control it more if I'm in conversation with somebody because I know they're going to think I'm crazy. So I don't let this out as much when I'm in conversation with somebody else, but this does happen. You just get overtaken with that fully charged state and you're just full. You're just so full that sometimes it comes out in tears. Sometimes it comes out in laughter. For me, it may never happen for you, but sometimes that's what happens. Anyway, so to complete number 1, which is cultivating stillness became a way of being for me, I can go into that, that contemplation, that beautiful contemplation that I am not this physical form. I'm far more than that. And I go into stillness for everything, because I trust that the answer will come in my stillness. What to do will come in my stillness. For a lot of people, your default mechanism is to go to doing whenever something happens. You have, a discord with a family member. You think you go into your mind. What am I going to say to them? This is what the conversation I need to say. We need to sit down and have a talk, and all that's happening. Right? The mind is making up something that needs to happen, some things you need to do to address this thing, right? And that's your default. That's your default. You'll know it the next time something arises. See if you go to your mind or if you just feel invited into stillness. Because for me, the minute something discordant happens or something arises in my experience that feels less than blissful, I go into stillness. It's my natural default. I go into stillness. And because that's a natural default for me, it's also very easy Stop. It's also very easy to move into my blissful state of being, because stillness is just a way of being for me. So that's number one, cultivating stillness as a way of being. This I'll spend a little bit more time on. I'm looking at time here. Let me see. Well, I might go for 2.5 hours. Just be aware of that. We're at 1.5 hours right now. Yeah, I might go for another hour. And again, I'll put a playlist under this, and I'll put quick links to each of the different ways in which I moved into this state as well. So it'll all be itemized so you can go back to different things. The second one I'll spend a little bit more time on, becoming aware that everything in all situations are absolutely neutral. They arise with no meaning whatsoever. That is huge, ginormous. Is that a word? Humongous, ginormous. In my personal day-to-day experience, just like cultivating stillness as a way of being is a normal thing in my experience. Nothing that happens in our experience has any meaning. It shows up and it says, here I am. You are the one that gives it meaning. So I'll give you an example that happened last week. My ex-husband came to town to hang out with my kids. He usually stays here when he does, in my guest room. He was bringing an SUV for my younger son, and he drove it from New Jersey to Georgia straight, 14 hours straight. And his 14 hours started, nobody asked him to do this, by the way. His 14 hours started at 12:30 a.m. and he drove 14 hours straight. How he did that, I don't know. He said on Red Bull. That's what he said, Red Bull. But he drove 14 hours straight. He got here and he was 100% exhausted, okay? I didn't even realize what he was doing. He told me what day he was coming, but I thought he would, wake up at a normal time and then get here whenever he gets here. And I thought, maybe he'd stay at a hotel halfway through and then finish the ride. I mean, the details weren't clear to me. And we didn't talk about the details, but he drove all the way here. He got here, he was 100% exhausted. He goes, I gotta sleep. I just gotta sleep. So crashed, slept. Then he says, I'll take the kids out to breakfast tomorrow morning. That's when he wanted to spend time with them. There's a little problem with that. My kids are like me. They don't wake up before noon. So I said, they don't wake up before noon. So I don't think anybody be waking up to have breakfast with you. At 8, 9, 10, none of them are going to be up. They're going to be sleeping. Brother got all up in his feelings about that. He was like, what? I drove all the way from New Jersey to bring this SUV for him, and he won't wake up to what else do I have to do for them to appreciate me? Right? He went there. He went all the way there. What was happening there? He was giving their decision to sleep in, the meaning of course, he doesn't know anything about being in this fully charged state. So he's sourcing his appreciation, his worthiness as a father, his love. He's reading that as they don't love me enough. I'm not getting enough love and appreciation from them. Okay. Rachel, Gia saying, tell him to stop playing. Yeah. He was mad. He was mad. And so I said to him, here's the other part of the story. I said to him, I was like, well, take him out to lunch. They're usually up for lunch. He goes, I have a business meeting at lunchtime. So for him, it's perfectly fine for him to choose a business meeting over lunch with his kids, but it's not fine for his kids to choose sleep over breakfast with him. I'm like, but I'm not getting into any of this, right? Because I'm here. That means nothing to me, okay? So that's how we move through life. A situation arises and we give it meaning. Like that situation has no meaning other than maybe it's neutral. It has no meaning. They're sleeping. The fact that they're sleeping has no meaning, right? The fact that they're choosing to sleep in, it has no meaning. But as a parent, as I talked about last week, his fully chargedness is coming from whether my son feels grateful enough, he called them ungrateful, feels grateful enough to wake up and have breakfast with him the next day because he's too tired. Don't they know I'm tired from sleeping, you know? And that's how he's sourcing his sense of worthiness as a parent. That's how he's interpreting whether he's sourcing his appreciation from them showing up to have breakfast with him that next day. They don't want to, they want to sleep, you know? So if that's how you're going out into the world and sourcing things from whether somebody does something or says something, agree with you, not agree with you, show up for you, not show up for you, if that's where you find your appreciation, your worthiness, your love, then you're on the puppet string of what they choose to do in terms of your sense of worthiness, right? None of that actually had any meaning. I'll give you another example, and I shared this with my girlfriend Rachel. Both my sons ran into the wall, into the garage with the car. My first son when he was 18, and my second son who is now 18. And I sent Rachel, I was like, look what I woke up to this morning. Hole in the wall, car ran into the inside wall of the garage. Not the outside wall now, the inside wall, right? That's holding up the house. And I sent Rachel the thing. I'm like, glad none of them are up because I'd kill somebody, you know? But I was a little bit ticked off for about a minute. And then I went into, this doesn't have any meaning. I remember sending it to Rachel. She goes, how could you stay so calm? And I said, because it doesn't have any meaning. Like, what meaning does that have? If one of them was driving the car and ran into the wall, what meaning does that have? You could say, well, it means they shouldn't be on the road. Could, or it could mean that they had that little incident and thank God it didn't happen on the road, you know? So what meaning are you giving the conversations with your kids? What meaning are you giving, you know, if you go into, let's go back to the core 6 things: family relationships, love relationships, money, health, career, spirituality. Family relationships, whenever your child responds in some way, that means they're disrespectful. Not really, it actually doesn't have any meaning. You're giving it the meaning that they're disrespectful. Perhaps they're just very animated in the way they want to express themselves. And I know some of you can't even go there. What? No, if they disrespect me, no, disrespect is something you perceive, not really something that's given. It's an interpretation of a set of experiences. Those experiences are 100% neutral when they arose in your experience. Some of you may not want to go there. You're like, I will not tolerate disrespect because we were conditioned to interpret certain things as disrespect. And so when they arise, we give them that meaning and we feel we need to react to the meaning that we have given it. It doesn't have a meaning. It's neutral. The actual situation that's arising is completely neutral. Let's say you're having a conversation with a family member. They raise their voice. What meaning did you give that? They're disrespecting me. No, they just raised their voice. Yeah, but that's disrespect. Well, that's the meaning that you gave it. The fact that they raised their voice is actually quite neutral. It does not come with any meaning. You're the one that gave it meaning. How do you know that? Well, what meaning did they give it? Well, I raised my voice because I was upset. That's the meaning they're giving it. I was upset. Therefore, that is what caused me to raise my voice. But they made a choice to speak in a louder tone of voice. And that has no meaning. Inherently, it has no meaning other than the meaning that you give it. Love relationships. Husband wants to make love tonight. Y'all know I like to go there. Wife says, I got a headache. Meaning, oh, she doesn't love me. Wife woke up on Valentine's Day. Husband forgot it was Valentine's Day. He busy working. Didn't get roses. Means he doesn't love me. None of that has any meaning. Those are just life events that are happening. Life is a series of emerging events popping up all through the day. This is an event that's happening. Once this event is done, I'll go do something else. And then that event pops up, right? I'll have a conversation with my son. I'll go walk my dog. I'll feed my dog. These are all life events that are popping up, right? With my dog. My dog is very rambunctious. And I didn't train him to not pull on the leash. So he pulls on the leash when I take him out for a walk. What does that mean? It means I'm a terrible dog parent and I didn't take the time to train him. No, it doesn't mean that. It just means when the dog goes outside, he gets excited and he's in a hurry to explore the world, and it causes a pulling on the leash, right? Does it mean, like in a lot of the dog training world, it means that you have not trained the dog to respect you? It doesn't mean that. It just means when I open the door and the dog sees the outside world, he's like, oh God, thank you, Jesus. I'm about to explore. And he goes running, right? Which causes the leash to get pulled on. None of it has any meaning, but we give it a meaning. We'll talk about why we give things meaning in a second. Money. Money is absent in your life. It means I'm not a good manifester. No, it's just life happening. Doesn't have any meaning. It means I am holding a vibration that's of lack, possibly, or maybe life's just happening for you to have a different experience. When money arises, it's so interesting. Like if for some reason, if you're a business owner and 6 clients signed up tomorrow, you're like, oh, I'm on a high, life is good. Woo, I'm having a good day today, right? Why? Because you're sourcing your good feeling from how many people signed up to work with you. Similarly, you're sourcing your bad feeling from how many people did not sign up to work with you. Now you can feel all of those things. Your host can, and you can be fine. Your host, your body is gone up and down, sideways, whatever, but you are fine. Because you know, none of that means anything. Somebody unsubscribed, somebody did subscribe. So, oh, look at all these people subscribed after I posted that thing. Ooh. Oh, they're unsubscribing now that I'm posting this thing. What? Sourcing your sense of well-being from external circumstances, none of which have any meaning. If you listen to me and you unsubscribe, that ain't got no meaning at all. I can attach meaning to it. Ooh, they didn't like what I said. You know why? It's because they're not in the 2% of spiritually awakened people. That's why they unsubscribe. Good. I can make it mean all kinds of things. It doesn't have any meaning. For whatever reason, they chose to unsubscribe. I have no attachment to that. It's not a source of my well-being, and it has no meaning. Health. I'm sick. Oh, why can't I manifest healing? I hear all these people's stories of people who heal themselves. Allison talks about it. I'm still not healed. What meaning are you giving that? Move into neutrality. You can give it meaning. By the way, there's nothing wrong with giving anything meaning, nor do you have to walk through life not giving anything meaning. For me, it's more an awareness, right? It's like I'm giving something a meaning, and I am also aware that it doesn't have any meaning. So I can choose to engage with the perceived meaning, perception, or I can decide it doesn't have any meaning. I don't want to think about that anymore. You know what I mean? So I can go both ways. When I woke up to a hole in my wall, I made it mean something. What is going on with these people? Whoever drove, I didn't know who drove into the wall. And I got a little attached to that. This is my car. Well, nothing happened to the car because Betsy built like a tank. The wall fell. The wall had a hole in it, but Betsy was still standing strong. Not a dent, not a single dent in Betsy, which is my car, my 20-year-old car. I could give that a whole lot of meaning. They're irresponsible. They think I'm going to pay for this. I'm not going to pay for this. I could go all over the place with that one. I was like, that doesn't have any meaning. I have other things to do today. It'll get fixed whenever it gets fixed. It may never get fixed. I don't really care. I got stuff to do today. So I had a conversation with my son about it, but it was more of a matter-of-fact conversation. Hey, what happened to the wall? And he explained what happened to the wall, and I went on with my day. Nothing has any inherent meaning other than the meaning that we give it. Health. If you have a persistent ailment, You can go, oh, same like money. I've manifested this for years and it's still here. What does it mean? I don't know. It's just here in your human experience. Integrate that polarity. I'm having this human experience of pain in my knee. This physical body is feeling pain. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. But the physical body is having some ailments. I'm fine. The fact that you're having ailments or you're having pain has no meaning. You can give it a meaning. Everybody knows how to do self-healing and I can't do that. I tried applying light, nothing happened. I'm still limping. I'm still feeling this pain. And I go, right? If you go there, by the way, that is a really strong sign that you've not integrated the polarity. Because when we integrate polarity, we're very neutral about what is occurring. It doesn't feel any particular way. It feels very neutral. And it's okay to feel a particular way. None of it is good or bad. It's just what experience do you want to explore, right? Spirituality, same thing. Wow, Allison goes into this bliss state at will. I wish I could go there. I can't go there. What does that mean? I'm not spiritually awakened enough. No, it has no meaning. It just means I'm having this experience and you're having that experience. And that's all it means. It's just you're having that experience, I'm having that experience. Nothing else is happening. It's just happening. It's just different life experiences emerging. None of them have any meaning other than the meaning that you give it. Career. Go to work, had a performance review, didn't go so well. Or it went well, but you didn't like what they said in the negative parts, because there always has to be negative parts in a performance review, because can't nobody be perfect, right? And they tell you have to improve in this area, that area. What does that mean? Don't mean a damn thing. What meaning are you going to give it? Hey, look, my host is very disappointed with this performance review, but I'm fine. Create that spaciousness. I'm fine. The host is very disappointed, but I'm fine. I'm fine. Because I'm here, fully charged. What they put in my performance review really doesn't have any meaning. I'm here. And you can just stay here. Or you can dance with the performance review and the emotions around that, all right? It's not like you're getting rid of your emotions. What's happening is you see through it. It's like arising, like the emotions arise and you see through it, right? To what's actually happening. Okay, so I just wanted to give some examples of becoming aware that everything and all situations are neutral. The impact that had was because I'm aware that everything is neutral, I don't go into that hyper emotional state much. And even when I do go there, it's very short-lived, because the minute I come into the awareness that everything is neutral and has no meaning, I become aware that I'm giving it meaning, and then I choose a different meaning to give it, and I dance with the new meaning rather than the old meaning that was putting me into mental misery, right? So you can go there. So that was number 2, becoming aware that all situations are neutral. The others I'll go through much more quickly. Witnessing everything. When you create that spaciousness between the host and you, who you are, and that's the host having its little dance, right, with whatever, you naturally become the witness of it. Do you have to become the witness of it? Nope. You don't. Do you have to refer to yourself as the host, the body? Nope. You don't. You can go into this fully charged state without any of that. I'm just sharing what happened in my life experience. Even normal conversations, moments of elation, because we tend to not notice that we're not the body when we're in elation, but we tend to want to separate from the body or the mind, the mental chatter and the mental misery when we're having not so good moments. But even in the moments of elation, when you're celebrating a $10,000 sale or, large sums of money came into your experience, when large sums of money come into my experience now, I'm very neutral about it. It's kind of like, oh, it's like a pleasantry. That's what it feels like. It feels like a pleasantry. Like, oh, isn't that cool? And it's very short-lived, and I go back to just living life. It doesn't feel like this extraordinary, and it's fine if it feels that way. Feels that way, celebrate it. Feels that way. I'm in the place now. I'm talking about my experience. I'm not saying how you should experience it. In my experience, when large sums of money just end up in my bank account, or my client gives me $1,000, which sometimes people do, I'm grateful for it, but it doesn't shift my emotional state of being. It's like I can celebrate it, but I see through the fact that this is just part of the skit that I'm in. So I become the witness of me having this experience with a large sum of money being dumped into my bank account. You know what I mean? It doesn't affect my overall state of being. It's kind of like I talked last week where, if I'm in these flirtatious relationships, the fact that somebody's texting me all kinds of compliments, it doesn't faze me. It doesn't like pull me into, oh, look, glad they're liking what I look like, or liking what I say, or, complimenting me on this or that. I don't feel, it's like I can feel a little bit of that, but I see through it so quickly that it doesn't land, it doesn't have a place to land because I'm full. That's what it is. It doesn't have a place to land and stick because I'm already full. So it happens and I see it and I feel it, but it's like it's transparent. I can see through the occurrence of it such that it doesn't land any particular place. In the past, it would have been damn straight, I'm fine, and I'm like fixing myself in the mirror and like reminding myself that, yes, I'm fine, glad he sees it too, I'd be all up in that. And all up in the compliment and replaying the compliment in my mind over and over to make myself feel good again. And all of that's fine. Not saying any of that. There's nothing wrong with any of that. Whatever you want to experience is totally fine. Right now it happens and it just kind of, I don't know, it flows through. It's like Siafa said last week, it just kind of flows through me and it doesn't stick anywhere. It can't stick anywhere. I'm full. I'm already full. You know what I mean? So witnessing all of that is a normal part of my day-to-day experience as well. Number 4 is recognizing that resistance is identification with that which is being resisted. You can't resist something that you haven't given any relevance to. You cannot resist something that you haven't given any meaning to. And when you are resisting, you're there in the darkness with that thing, right? And you are that now, right? So recognizing that whatever I'm resisting is my heavy identification with that thing. If I'm not identified with that, then no resistance would actually be emerging. But when I'm identified with it, resistant, I don't want that, right? So that may happen too. When you're not resisting something, you're just there in peace with it. It's occurring. And I wonder how I will be on the other side of this. I go into that. I go into when challenges arise now, it's kind of like, I wonder who I will become as a result of this. Because I know it's there for my becoming and my further expansion, my further awareness, and my mental state of me goes there very fast now, because of that stillness being where I go when something happens. That comes up very quickly now. So you can have freedom from resistance, not 100%. Shit's gonna happen, y'all, right? So just be aware of that. But you don't have to push anything away. Anything that you're pushing away and resisting, there you are with it, right? So that's number 4, recognizing that resistance is identification with that which is being resisted. Number 5 is, Number 5 is seeing through it, and I talked about that already. It's just another movie happening. It doesn't affect me, the eternal me. It's a movie that's happening. It may affect the host, right? It's kind of like seeing through it is very much like going to the movie theater and you're watching this movie and you got sucked into the emotion of it. Like I get sucked, if I watch a movie, which I rarely ever do now, but if I watch a movie, I will get all in there with the characters, tears flowing, my heart racing when they're in trouble. And, I get all involved in what's happening. If I went to the movie with somebody, I'll forget that they're even there. That's how much I get into the plot and the movie that's happening. And we can be there in life, right? The host is on the set, man, in the movie, doing all the roles, playing all the parts, living life, And as the host, as if you identify with the host, you get all up in all the meanings and all the things, all these different things, right? But when you're seeing through it, you don't feel all of the experiences. Like some people can go to the movie theater and watch the movie with much more disconnection than I do. For me, I get all in it. Like I feel like I am there, For other people, they watch the movie and it feels like they're watching a movie. For me, it feels like I'm right there in whatever is happening in the movie. And I get very emotionally involved, which is why I don't watch a lot of movies, because it really messes with my emotions. I don't know how people watch thrillers and all these different, it just messes with especially now, I'm very, very, aware of my emotions and all that now. So I'm very tuned into the emotions of everybody, and it's just different now. So, but some people can go into the movie theater, grab their popcorn, watch the movie, and they're watching what's happening and they're intrigued by it, but they're not feeling the emotions of everything that's happening. I tend to feel the emotions of everything that's happening. So when you're seeing through it, it feels like I'm not emotionally involved in the movie, but I see the movie happening and I see the host having some issues with that thing, but I'm just watching, right? It's like, I'm here, I'm seeing through it. I stay here in this fully charged state. I just stay here, and it doesn't feel like I'm being drawn into it, because I'm seeing through to the fact that it's a movie. I'm seeing, all of this is happening, and there's a lot of drama, blood, sweat, and tears going on, but the awareness that it's just a skit playing out is so strong within me now that I see through it very readily. That's number 5, seeing through it. Number 6 is going back to the host. The host is having this experience. I am pure peace, love, joy, and light. The host is having this experience. I'm pure peace, love, joy, and light. Much like the physical body is feeling this pain, but I'm fine. And that spaciousness happens between the two. You don't have to do this. It's just part of how I moved into it. And number 7, I talked about being fully charged in the moment. And Siafo, I'm going to unmute you in a second and just kind of ask you a couple of questions, because I know your experience is different than mine. I talked about being fully charged in the moment. So what was happening earlier where I started giggling is I just remembered that I am eternal. And when I'm in this happens for me probably different from others, because when I'm in the moment having a conversation with someone or in an experience of some kind, I can choose to be all up in the movie, or I can choose to be in my divine state, right? In my fully charged state, in my full awareness that I'm just playing a role here, right? And then I start giggling whenever that happens. So this, I think for me, although I'm not certain, I think for me, the ability to just remember that I'm an eternal state of being comes from my obsession, with near-death experiences. I watched thousands of near-death experience videos, literally thousands. I'm not even kidding you. Some audio, I should say audio, video, reading. Combination of audio, near-death experience stories, video, near-death experience, and reading near-death experience stories. I've literally thousands. Funny, before today, I was in the near-death experience summit here on YouTube today. So it's very easy for me, because in those near-death experience stories, a lot of the people who came back to life, some of them were literally at the morgue with a toe tag, and woke up while they were in the morgue. So stories like that, right? And they came back to life. And for me, whenever those storytellers, and they all have their own experience, right? So I don't know for absolute sure that's exactly what's going to happen when I die. But I do know that they often talk about what life looks like when you're on the other side looking at human life. And it's actually quite comical. And it's actually so devoid of meaning. You're just having experiences, right? And I have so many stories in my head of what people felt like when they were on the other side that I quickly go there. And it's almost like I can see what's happening in this moment from my afterlife self. And it comes to me very quickly. And then I start laughing, right? Also, there is this instant awareness that I am not this physical form. I am way more than that. And this human experience I'm having in this moment is just one of many multidimensional experiences that I'm having. And so when that happens, I very quickly go to that perspective that I call it my afterlife perspective. I go very quickly into my afterlife perspective, and I'm watching this moment playing out, but I'm seeing it from my afterlife perspective, and it looks like comedy. It literally looks like comedy. And so for me, in the moment, one, I could go to my afterlife perspective, and secondly, I just go to that inner knowing that I am an eternal, indestructible being. And when I go there, I can't see what's happening in the same way. I can only see it from my fully charged state. And when I go to that state, everything looks like child's play. Everything looks like child's play. It's like watching everything happening on the movie set. Although some people try to drag you into the movie set by requiring that you wear masks. I'm like, I'm just watching the movie, sir. I'm not trying to walk across the stage. I'm just watching the movie. Don't make me wear a mask. I'm not in the movie. Of course you are in the movie. We all signed up to be in the movie. Okay. So should we not have desires or feel excited? No. Let that go. What happens for me, and which I was going to talk about being in, living this out and fully in life, is I feel the excitement, Charmaine, and I feel the desire, and I feel that, like, when I'm in my flirtatious friendships with these guys that are texting me every once in a while, I'm there. I'm like one of them texted me yesterday, and that's a comical, and he's so damn funny. Every time he texts me, I'm like laughing. I'm like genuinely laughing, right? And I also feel their admiration when they're texting me compliments and all that. I feel that. And there's a state of feeling good about it, but it's a very transparent state of feeling good rather than a heavy, I'm feeling so good about this. It's because I was there once. So I know the difference in feeling. So it's like, I can feel, it's like Siafu said last week, it's like, you feel it. It's like you feel the goodness of the moment, right? You feel the desire, you feel the excitement, you feel all of that, but it feels transparent. It feels like you're literally having the human feeling. And if you want to go more into that human feeling, you can. Like if I wanted to feel more about, what this guy's texting me yesterday, I could choose to feel more about that, and I can feel it. I want to be more human in this. I want to be more human here, and I can feel more. So you have a choice, right? You can feel it all, like real deep, feel it all, and then return to that was cool, but I'm fully charged. Don't need it. For me, this is my experience, does not need to be your experience. What I feel is, and maybe I'll bring Sayaf Wan here because she described it really beautiful last week. What I feel is a transparency to it. Like, like how if you hold up like a piece of fabric that you can see through, but that fabric is like a beautiful pattern, but it's also very transparent, right? So for me, it feels like I'm watching this beautiful thing, but I can see through it as well. It's like I can see through to the fact that I don't need any of this, but I can feel it. So it's not like you're letting go of the beauty of human emotions because it's what you came to experience. So if you're feeling admiration from that person, like I felt admiration from him and I felt admired, but I didn't feel attached to that admiration. What it is? It's the absence of attachment to what you're feeling. That's what it is. It's not that you're not feeling it, but there's an absence of attachment that makes the emotion feel much more transparent and much lighter, such that you're not like deeply into it to make yourself feel good. You know what I mean? And Rachel is saying exactly. So it's the attachment that's absent. Whereas in the past, that attachment was so there that I had to replay it in my mind to make myself feel good again that day. You know what I mean? Whereas now it happens, I feel it, I feel the joy in it, I feel the admiration, I feel some sense of feeling good, but it's very short-lived and very malleable, transparent. It's not that heavy for me, and it's devoid of attachment is probably the best way to describe it. Okay, so let me unmute Miss Siafu. Is she still here? Yeah. Okay, so hang on, Siafu, don't say anything yet.
Hello.
Hey, hang on.
Hi.
Hang on. Hang on, I'm gonna unmute you and just try something else here. Hang on.
Okay.
Okay, one moment. Okay, now I'm gonna unmute you again. Okay. So can you describe, because I just described what I feel like when
right.
complimented or something beautiful happens or I get a lot of money. Like I can go into the excitement over getting, I can like feel some degree of me feeling excited, but it feels like crumbs. It feels, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like that attachment, devoid of attachment. So how would you describe what you feel? Because you described it beautifully last week and I forget the words you used, but how do you feel when something good happens in your life or something exciting happens in your life, or somebody gives you a really beautiful compliment that makes you feel good, and you're in this fully charged state a lot? So what does that feel like and look like to you? How do you experience it?
I would say it's kind of what you said. There's neither no attachment to it or resistance to it. So in a sense, I feel worthy of it, but also don't have any requirement for it. And I think what I feel is more, it flows through me. And since there's nothing resisting or attaching to it, it goes out into an infinite space. So it's more like my inner being is receiving it, if that makes sense. And I'm receiving it too because it's flowing through me, but it's more of the flow of it. And it just goes out into that infinite space.
Yes. Yeah. I know that.
And it feels good. It feels really good.
Yeah.
But there's just no attachment to it.
Right.
And so it has that sense of it just expands into in an infinite space.
Okay, and I have some other questions for you as well. But one other thing that is coming to mind for Charmaine, there are moments in my life where I'm hyper excited. I'm like, what? Oh my God. I can have like me and Rachel could have conversations like, girl, no way. What? And we're all up in the conversation. But once I'm done with the conversation, I'm back here, and it doesn't have that heaviness where I have to regurgitate it in my mind. I can't believe she said that. It doesn't stick because you're so full that it doesn't have a place to stick. It has to move through because you're in that fully charged state. So I just want to add that too. I'm a very excitable person. You know what I mean? If you go out to dinner with me, I'm not going to be like, a drone. I'm like the opposite of a drone. When I go out to dinner with people, I'm like, very animated, and I'm cracking jokes and I'm cracking up and laughter. Like all of that is all a part of the experience. But there's this subtle, ever-present awareness that you're not any of that, but you came to enjoy all of that, So Siafu, some other questions. How long have you been on your awakening journey?
My first experience was fall of 2011.
Okay.
So however many years that is.
About 9 years. Have you always felt this fully charged state where you feel so complete that nothing feels like it's necessary for you?
No, it's a fairly new experience. It's
Fairly new.
At the beginning I would have moments of it, like it'd be like a enlightenment experience, and then it would go away. But now it's becoming a more normal state.
Mm-hmm.
And I still go in and out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm understanding it more as my nature. So I'm relaxed more about it, which means I think it's allowed to happening. It's being allowed to happen more.
Okay. And was there a particular point in time where this became so evident for you that it started to blossom? Or is it more like me where you didn't even notice it happening, but you just kind of gradually moved into it?
I would say it's been both for me. It's been very vivid experiences that are like so different from how I was or living at the time, that in that moment it transformed me utterly. But then it was the process of that happening, which could take years sometimes, if that makes sense. So it was both.
Yes. And can you,
it was like,
you open to sharing one of those experiences?
What was that?
Are you open to sharing one of those experiences that felt
sure.
transformative?
Sure. I think one of my favorites was I was waiting at a bus stop. I had just worked a hard shift, so I was tired. It was cold and raining, and I was grouchy and kind of miserable and just wanted to get home. But I was thinking about the nature of God for some reason. And I was like, God isn't a thing. God is a state of being. Like, God isn't tall or short or thin or happy or sad. Like, it's the being that's in all of those states. And I immediately went into that being. Like, I felt it. It was just pure, utter bliss, being, just the being. And none of my situation changed. Like, I stayed irritable and hungry and cold and tired, but it was pure bliss, like the being in all of those states. And it probably lasted like 20 or 30 minutes. And then I kind of went back to my normal way of being. But I just tapped into the pure joy of being, that isness that is in everything.
That's beautiful. And that really underscores the question that Charmaine was asking a moment ago. You can have that experience along with what's happening. Like, I can go into this state of bliss and start giggling with a pain in my knee, right? Or not feeling well, or feeling grouchy, like your grouchiness was there in your host.
Yeah.
But you were here, like
but I was in bliss. Yeah,
you were also identified with the blissful state of who you truly are, while still feeling all of, and that's beautiful for everyone to realize too, because people think, I have to get rid of all my anger to get there. I have to get rid of all my this to get there. I have to get rid of all the, whatever to get there. And that is not true. You're already there. Everyone is already there. And you can have the host feeling all its things, whatever that host is feeling, the physical body is feeling, and still be tuned in to the truth of who you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for me, the whole journey has been that process of what I call the unconditioned or the unconditional. And it's finding those things that are in every experience, no matter what they are. So you can be peaceful no matter, I can be in a panic attack and be at peace having a panic attack. It's just because
it's not you having the panic attack.
Right. It's an
your host, your body
state,
that's having a panic attack.
Yeah. And it's like,
you
okay. It's
are
okay
totally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I had a client once who she was in her car 100% in a panic over not having enough money to pay her mortgage, or I can't remember, it was some kind of lack of money. And felt the panic of that, like, oh my God, I'm not gonna have enough, I'm gonna lose my apartment, my house, or whatever. And instantly in that moment, tuned in to her non-physical state of being and started laughing. And she wrote to me, she goes, oh my God, I think I'm going crazy. Because at the same time that she's panicking about not having the mortgage money was the bliss. Yeah. So you can experience both.
And it's interesting how you were talking about integration, because today I've been having, like, I'm very, very clear about what I want, but I'm having the experience of not having what I want. So I was kind of in that experience and I had a thought about it. And I realized that it was a very integrative thought that was just combining those two states of because I know what I want and I can feel it, while at the same time I don't have it. So it's a polarity. But the thought I had was, okay, right now is temporary, it's wildly creative, and it's becoming. And that sort of like allowed both those states to be. What I want and the experience of not having what I want were both okay, because it was part of this, like I could feel it, this part of this ongoing process that never stops.
Yeah.
And it was a calming, it was like, I think that was an integrative thought.
Yes, yes. And when that integration happens, what happens is we lose all attachment to the pleasure, we lose our resistance to the pain, and we are just here.
And we can be okay with being where we are and excited about what's going to happen next.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. Okay, let me see if anybody has any questions. If you have questions for Siafu, let me know. Let me just read some of the comments. So Rachel is saying it's like birthing, gestation, and creation. Let me integrate that here. It's like birthing, gestation, and creation. Yes, for some people. For some people. Some people wake up and they're suddenly here. And they just can't remember where they were before. It's like, I'm here now, you know. But for most human beings, I would say, I think it's safe to say for most human beings, it's a journey and it's not instant. Would you say, Siafu, that you're experiencing the polarity every day, or some of the time, most of the time you're in this state of fullness? Like, what does it feel like to you now in your current experience?
If it happens in waves for me, so I'm more in it and then I come out of it. So it flows like that. I'm more in it, then come out of it, and then more in it, and then come out of it. But at the same time, I would have to say myself is in all of those experiences. I don't lose myself in it, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I could still feel
your
the
human
peace.
self.
No, my true self.
Oh, your true self. You don't lose your true self in it. Okay.
No. I can still feel, I can in an instant tap into happiness or joy or peace. And it might not change my circumstance. It might not change my bad mood even, but I can still access it. I still know it's there and I can still experience it even in a bad mood.
Yes. And what it feels like to me is like a subtle but ever-present awareness of the truth of who I am while dancing the human emotions, dancing
right. And it's gotten to the point where that knowing just doesn't go away. It can't anymore. Yeah.
Right. And I'm there too, where it can't go away. And it's interesting because a lot of people are in the experience where the strong, heavy identification with their humanness is what can't go away. And I think I just want to share that it's possible for the flip side to happen as well. I think we were all, I think Siafu can agree, that we were all once in that place where the human element and the humanness of who we are and the human emotions was predominant, and that felt like all we could experience. And then gradually, more awareness of who we are, more awareness of who we are, more awareness of who we are. Siafu, was there anything in your steady evolution that stands out as, you know what, this is something that I did that contributed to that state?
The things that have been at play for me majorly have been awareness. So I became very aware of what I was thinking and what I was feeling, and that's been important. Another thing has been changing my thoughts or choosing different thoughts. That's been a huge thing. And for a while, I do that often by listening to things, by reading things, and then by like when something grabs me, I'll repeat it a lot in my mind until that becomes a thought that I just naturally think all the time.
Right.
One thing that the path that I came through it was I wanted to know the truth. And so I called it denying, but I just started denying everything in my experience. And it was a light thing. It was like, and I would do it throughout my whole day. I'd be going to work, doing everything, but I'd be saying, not this, not this, not this. Like, this is a temporary experience. This is a temporary sensation, thought. All of those things are just coming and going. That's not the true thing. That's not the true thing. That's not the true thing. And I just did that over and over and over again, kind of just looking past everything that was arising, no matter what it was. I was like, that's an idea, that's a thought, that's a memory, that's a sensation, that's a physical sensation, that's a feeling. None of those are the true thing. And I just did that for a while, and then it's almost like I forgot about it. And then all of a sudden one day, the true thing was there. And I don't know how to explain it, but it was just like I knew. Like I had looked past all the things in my life that were changing, that come and go, and the true thing was there. And it's been there ever since.
Yeah. I would say the same for me. It's that I was in this gradual shifting, and then boom, wow, I can't go back to the old thing anymore.
Yeah.
You know, because it's so ever present that I can't go back.
And it's a knowing. It's like not anything I can point to and say it's this thing, because it's nothing. It doesn't depend on my thoughts or on my feelings or on the sensations of the body, or it doesn't depend on any of those things. Those are all the conditions that are coming and going, but it's the thing that's within all the conditions.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's as simple. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I'll mute you now. Oh, did you have anything else to share, or you good?
No, that was wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, great. One of the, going back to giving things meaning, one of the things that we give, one of the reasons that we feel like we have to give something meaning, I meant to share that earlier and I didn't, is because we find safety in that. Well, I have to give it meaning so I could do something about it. If I don't give it a meaning, then I can't do anything about it. But when you are in the place where nothing has any meaning, then there's nothing you really have to do about it. So there's more of an allowance of life happening, and or Rachel is saying safety in the narrative. Yes, you feel like, well, I have to make it mean something so I know what to do. I gotta give it a meaning, so it means it. And again, with the meaning thing, same like with Charmaine saying, well, do I not have desires and excitement? You can have desires, you can have excitement, you can have meaning. I'm just aware, like I still give things meaning, but now I'm aware that I'm giving it meaning. Whereas in the past, I would fully believe this is what it means. And can't nobody argue me, but this is what it means, right? Now I'm much more aware that I'm choosing to give something a meaning. And that awareness, that subtle awareness is just ever present. You're choosing to give this that meaning. Would you like to stay with that meaning? It's like a buffet. You can give it that meaning if you want. Do you want to stay with that one? Okay. Or you can. So there's this awareness that I have a buffet of choices when anything arises, because everything is arising with neutrality. You know what I mean? Like when you go to a buffet restaurant, the food isn't saying, I taste good, choose me, right? The food is just there, right? You taste it and you say, this tastes good to me. But somebody else would taste it and go, nope, does not taste good to me, needs a little bit more salt. But you're the one, like, everyone choosing from the buffet is giving it meaning, but the food is just there. The food is just there. You know what I mean? So for me, the meaning is there for me to choose from, and I could give it meaning if I wish, but I am in this constant awareness that I'm giving it meaning. Whereas in the past, I was in a state of knowing for damn sure that's what it means. You know what I mean? And I'm not there anymore. The meaning is very optional now, you know? So Rachel is saying, so I remember feeling that way at 5 years old. I was looking through my eyes like I wasn't human. And a lot of children have that experience because we come in, all this stuff we're talking about for 2.5 hours. We came in knowing all of that stuff. And we came in pretty much experiencing the joy of life, you know, every day. And then life beat it out of us. School, parents, siblings, whatever, you know, life experience just kind of conditioned it out of us, I should say. All of which is fine. It's just polarity and you embrace it. I'm going to quickly read another member from Conversations with Spirit shared this when I asked for examples of how you're experiencing it. This is from Anne. She's in Massachusetts. She's happily having vacation right now. She said, I've been on this path for a long time. I guess I formally started in college and I'm now 66. It just gets better and better. As we've talked about, it's fascinating how differently we all feel and experience spirit being and flowing through us. You seem to feel it very viscerally and with strong emotion. Yes, for me, it's laughter and tears. I feel it that way. She's saying, I experience it most often as moving through my day with an inner core of peace, ease, and contentment. So there you are, a different way to experience it. If I'm not feeling that, it's my reminder that I've just forgotten who I am. So I ask, who am I being? Take some centering breaths. Ooh, that's good. Take some centering breaths and connect to the space of infinite consciousness spirit, as I've shared before. Then I'm right back in it again. So for Anne, so for me, I focus on the afterlife perspective, which makes everything comical and look like child's play. I also just move into the experience of I am eternal, indestructible. So I go into a remembrance, right? Often, which then becomes a very visceral experience. For her, she focuses on the space, the spaciousness of infinite consciousness and spirit. She says, it seems like over the past 6 months or so that I've experienced an accelerated expansion of spirit's flow. I feel it even more often, more evenly, more easily, and I'm less likely to be pulled out. I pick up on others' thoughts more often. That's happening for me a lot now. Get perfect inspired ideas more often. True. My desires are more easily fulfilled, and I just work out all the time. My relationship with my husband of 30 years is of a higher quality than ever. Just flow, 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 and joy, joy, joy. Beautiful. I'm less likely to get upset over things as they don't seem as important as they used to. Very true. And I can trust that things will be fine. There's an inner knowing. For me, it goes beyond trust. Is that, like Seafu said, it's just an inner knowing that everything is going to be fine. We've also become trusting enough to take big leaps of faith, trusting that the money that we need will come one way or another. Mark is her husband, quit his day job in 2015, and somehow we're still vacationing on Martha's Vineyard for a month and Cape Cod for another, which has been my dream. And I know in my being that even more abundance is coming. Yes, ma'am. And we're going to be doing a deep dive into awakening to abundance on Friday night. And there's some beautiful down the rabbit hole awareness that's getting dropped into my experience as well. So that's Anne's experience in terms of knowing who she truly is. And I'm pretty much done. I'm just going to end with living in this fully charged state in regular life. So some key points that I want to share there. Much like I shared with Charmaine, is knowing that you can intermingle the experience of being fully charged and all experience full out all human experiences and all human emotions, because that's what we're here for, is to explore all the human experiences and all of the human emotions that are at play. So there's a beautiful balance of experiencing without being swallowed up into the movie. Right? You can walk across the movie set and they can slap a mask on you because it's required, but then you walk off the movie set and you're back into this fully charged state, you know? So for me, I embrace the ebb and flow. I have the human experience, but I'm not sucked up by the human experience. The polarity of moving in and out of the experience as it expands. For me, as the polarity exists, I fully integrate it. And in that integration, neutrality about it is birthed. And as the neutrality about it is birthed, I feel myself expanding in ways that I never had before. This is really important, and I think all of us can say this. There are some areas of my life where it feels easier to fully embrace that fully charged state than others, to fully integrate polarity and your energy in all of that, right? So for me, in the area of romantic relationships, I have never in my life felt like I needed a man to feel complete. I have never felt like I needed to be married. I have never felt like I wouldn't be okay without a relationship. So that's a real easy area of my life to let go and just, because I'm so friggin' autonomous and very independent, that has never been a huge player in my life. Have I felt inadequate? Yes. When my first marriage ended, I felt inadequate as a parent, and I felt like I needed him to be there for my two boys. I didn't feel like I needed him, but I felt like I needed to stay in that relationship for the two boys. In my second marriage, there was some degree of that when we were splitting up, because once you get used to having two incomes, you get a little scared that it's going to go down to one, right? So I did feel a little bit of fear that, oh my gosh, can I make it on my own? I'm so used to it. We've been together for so long. I feel used to his income and mine together, and then I quickly let go of that. And he walked his fine ass out the door. And I'm still here in the same house, and nothing about my lifestyle has changed at all. So, as the polarity comes and goes, you can look for the opportunity in the polarity to fully embrace it. Oh, before I forget, if you go to AllisonPhillips.com/polarity, when you click on that link, or when you put in that link, it'll instantly download the conversations with Spirit that I had regarding how to integrate polarity, and also the written version of that conversation on how to integrate polarity. And as I shared earlier, be prepared for spontaneous moments of joy. You may look like and feel crazy to regular humans, right? Because you can feel joy in the midst of circumstances that aren't lending themselves to joy. And that's totally fine. Just like you can feel, going back to Charmaine's point, just like you can feel excitement, joy, celebration, and all of that, and still be tuned in to this heightened state of fullness, you can feel the opposite of that, like drama, fear, scared, all of that, because that's the other side of human emotion too, right? And still feel this subtle sense of, and I'm gonna be fine. At the end of it, I'm gonna be fine. You know what I mean? So you can feel both at the same time, but you're so clear in your knowing that you are an eternal state of eternal, indestructible being, that whatever is playing out. I remember when I was sharing the fact that my son ran into the wall and there's a hole in the wall. And Rachel was like, man, you so calm about this. And I said to her, girl, they can burn this damn house down. I'll just take the clothes on my back, go live under a bridge in Atlanta and have that experience. It's like, I'm not worried about it. You know what I mean? And when you feel your freedom from an inner place, not an outer place, then everything that's at play you can witness without it dragging you down, right? Because you cannot be dragged down. Your host can, your body can, your human emotions can get you there. But you are an eternal, indestructible being. You cannot get swept up in everything that's happening. You are fully charged. Your human body and your human element can do its thing, but you're here. And when you, for me, when I create that spaciousness between, yeah, my body's really freaking out about that, but I know I am fine. When you can integrate the two in any given moment, might burst into laughter, which is something I do often. You just know, you just have that peace that's ever present, and you don't have to, the ebb and flow don't have to be so wildly, because you could go, oh my God, I'm feeling terrible. Oh my God, I'm feeling good, right? But when you have this awareness of who you truly are, and you know how to activate and remember that fully charged state that you are, that's who you are, that's who you are. When you know how to go there, then whatever is happening doesn't like pull you in, like you're not getting pulled into the screen of the movie as much anymore. And finally, with family and friends, I don't try to talk to anybody about this because they're not here, so although I did say to my ex-husband when he was here, I was like, brother, if you hang your hat on what these children do, you're gonna be very miserable. I was like, you got to let that go, my friend. That's a conversation I had. I don't know that he could ever get that. You know what I mean? Because when he talks to me about our kids, or kids forgetting to call him or didn't text him back, and I'm like, dude, you got to let go of needing them to do any of that for you to be all right. But I don't think he can ever get that. So sometimes I do share at that level with people. But for the most part, I be it. I don't talk about it. I just be it. So either one of my kids will always say, she's always kind of happy. Like, no matter what's happening, she kind of always is happy. They don't understand at this depth of experience why I'm there, but they certainly know that I'm there. They're aware that I'm having that experience. And whenever we have conversations about anything, I don't try to give this depth of explanation about anything, but I will say things like, I know that I'll be fine anyway. When I was taking my ex-husband back to the airport, which, by the way, he got a ticket from Atlanta to New Jersey for $36, like one way. I'm like, I need to be going somewhere, But I was in the car with him and my older son, who's 25, and they're going on and on about how horrible it is that people are choosing not to wear masks. And just a little thing to help make people feel, to help lift this whole thing that's happening in our country. Why can't you wear a mask? And if it'll help people feel well, why not? And they're having that conversation, like my ex-husband in the front seat and my son in the back seat. And I chose not to be a part of the conversation. I fixed my gaze on a beautiful white puffy cloud, and I was out. And I was back into my bliss while they were having that conversation all day. I did come back for one comment, and I go, but what if it's not real? That's all I dropped. And I went back to the clouds. What if it's not real? My ex-husband looked at me like, well, I guess there's some people that believe it's not real, but, and then he went back into the conversation about why masks should be required, why people are not paying attention. So with friends and family and in normal life, I never have this level of conversation because I don't expect people to understand it, I will allude to it, but in ways that can keep the conversation going in a way that they would understand it, although I'm not seeking for them to understand it. You know what I'm saying? Quite naturally, because I'm in this state of, utter bliss and very, in this high frequency a lot, I cannot attract those kinds of lower vibration conversations much. And when people have those conversations with me, it's not terribly satisfying because I kind of bring it up, you know? So I don't really have a lot of experience with, you know, friends and family members in a very, you know, dark place, and I'm here, you know, with all the light and all of that. But again, you can integrate that polarity as well and just make it okay. Not okay that they continue it, but okay that it's happening, such that it's bringing something to your awareness. And again, life is really just a reflection, right? So that integration of the polarity there serves us, you know, if we choose to go there. Okay, so Rachel is saying, yeah, I find it interesting that even though that awareness that is there a little resistance comes up for me being my fully charged state, because it's almost like I prefer to experience the drama at times, and I don't like being at peace all the time. Like my soul came to fully dive into all the polarities. That is really interesting, Rachel, because there are some times, because my divine team, and your divine team, by the way, is non-physical. Our non-physical folks are around us all the time, right? So there's this constant conversation that goes on with my divine team all the time. I'm aware that they're downloading and sending me information and all that. And there are times when I go, I just want to be human in this. I want to be mad. Leave me alone. I'll be back. But I want to be mad right now. I want to be mad because I want to express why I'm mad, you know? So there are moments in my life where I choose that. But the difference is I'm aware that I'm choosing. Whereas for a lot of human beings, they're not even aware that they're choosing. Anger arises, they go into the anger, they tell somebody off, they come back out of the anger, they feel justified that they did, and then they move into the next thing that's happening. You know what I mean? When I move into any emotional state that feels heavy and dense, I'm aware that I'm there. And I'm aware to what degree do I want to stay there. And sometimes I can hear my non-physical folks going, you done? you want to come out? Or okay, that's fine. You can stay. That's fine. You know? So that does happen too. And I think that's important to share in regular life. Even though it is true that I am in this heightened state of joy and bliss most of the time, I could take a deep dive into anger, baby. I could take a deep dive into, let me tell you something about yourself. I can go there, okay? I went into a store, because all the big box stores now are requiring masks. I bought this chair at one of those big box office stores. And I bought it on a Saturday, and I went to pick it up on a Sunday, because you could pay them $10 to put it together for you, and you just pick up the chair rather than, you know, picking it up in a box. So I paid for it, and I came back the next day. Now I always have a mask in my bag for Freak Out Nation, but for whatever reason, I had emptied my bag out and I cleaned it out, and I forgot to put the mask back in. So I arrived, and this was the first day that store made it a requirement to wear a mask. When I was there the day before, it wasn't a requirement to wear a mask. So I walk into the store, and the manager comes right up to me, and he goes, ma'am, a mask is required. All of a sudden, like 24 hours earlier, it wasn't a crime. And then 24 hours later, it's a crime, right? Ma'am, a mask is not required. And the way that he approached me, whoo, y'all know I'm feisty. I could feel my feistiness bubbling up a little bit, right? It got to right here. And I said, sir, I talked to you yesterday. I'm here to pick up my chair. Can I just get my chair? I didn't even respond to the mask. Okay. I didn't even respond to the mask thing. And he said, oh yeah, I remember you being here yesterday. He goes, yeah, but masks are required today. No, you're right. It wasn't required yesterday. It's required today. And I'm like, do you have the chair? Because I'm thinking, because there's 2 doors to the establishment, right? I came in this door, and you have to go around to pick up whatever and come out the next door. So now we're in the middle inside the store. And he goes, yes, ma'am, I can get the chair for you. I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, yeah, I thought so. You ain't gonna die. Right? Bubbling up. It's still here, right? Still here. So I make my way to the other side of the store. And he said, well, why don't you go bring your car around so I can help you put it in, right? I know, I wanted my chair, Gia. Came for my damn chair. I paid for it. So I had to leave the store, get my car, bring my car to the front of the store, and then come back through the same damn door So I come through the same door again. This time, now the manager is on this side of the store getting my chair, right? Come through the same door again. I still don't have my mask, right? And of course, everybody gonna die because I don't have a mask on. So I come in that side of the store, and now there's like a 24-year-old employee going, ma'am, there's masks are required. I took one look at him. I felt it coming up again, y'all. I'm like, I'm gonna go over there, pick up my chair, and I'm leaving. It's gonna take me about 30 seconds, sir. I just went, got my chair, wheeled it out of the store, and I was done with that experience. So listen, even though Charmaine's saying spirit couldn't hold you back, spirit couldn't hold back the human in you, right? Because see, the host does its own thing, right? I came here to have this experience. No, spirit couldn't hold it back. That was calm by comparison to what was bubbling up. Okay. Because what was bubbling up was y'all crazy with this damn mask requirement. I could go there, but I didn't go there. I was watching this YouTube video with some woman that's being interviewed, spiritual thing, but she talked about this website called questioningcovid.com. Don't go there. Okay. Questioningcovid.com, that's questioning all of what mainstream media is telling us about COVID. I did go there, which is why I could tell you don't go there. When you go there, it's just, right, there's the polarity side where you got to wear a mask because it's preventing everybody from dying, getting sick, blah, blah, whatever. I didn't buy tickets to Rona's world tour, so I'm all right, okay? Those who bought tickets, they're in another place. I didn't buy tickets. But it's the polarity, right? There's that side, mass media going, everybody gonna die if they don't wear masks. Blah, 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 blah. It's required now. Blah, blah, blah. Don't come up, blah, blah, you know? And then there's the questioningcovid.com. That's the other side of polarity. None of this is true. It's all fake. Masks are there's like a woman on there talking about masks are gonna kill you. So we move from COVID is gonna kill you to mask is depreciating your oxygen level and it's gonna kill you, right? And of course they have stories to back it up because of course, whatever you believe, life will present you with a story to back it up. So she has stories of somebody dying because their oxygen level went down because they were wearing a mask for too long and they died. So now you go into that fear. Oh my God, if I wear a mask, I'm gonna die. My oxygen level. She like has the whole story. If you put a thing on your finger, watch your oxygen level go down. If you wear a mask, it's like, oh my God. And I said to my son, I'm like, I really am not interested in being in any of the narratives, like none. Okay. So there's that side. So that's the polarity, right? We're gonna die if we don't wear a mask. We're gonna die if we do wear a mask, right? And I have to breathe. Like I got to my car, once I got the chair in, got to my car, I'm like, Allison, just breathe. You were just on the movie set. You accidentally walked across the screen. That's all. That's all that happened. You accidentally walked across the screen. Okay, you back in your car, go back into your reality. All is well, leave it alone, just leave it alone. So I had to let go in that way. And I did, like in seconds, I was back to in fact, I was driving home laughing at the whole, the way the world is perceiving the requirement of masks and all that right now. It's a crazy situation. It's crazy. All right, I am complete, y'all. Of course, we're nearing 3 hours again, but I will go back in and put in a whole bunch of quick links, and I'll send that out by email within the next week so that you can quickly go to different parts of the video and our conversation today. Anything else anyone else wants to add or ask? Any questions bubbling up that you feel like you want to know? Going once, going twice. Going once, going twice. Before we move into completion here. Whew. Everyone feels complete. Good. Bye, Gia. Bye, Charmaine. See you on Friday, Siafu. And Rachel, I know you guys are in. All right. So we are all set. I'm going to go ahead and move to my ending screen. And I will see you guys. Glad I didn't have to do another 3. Round 3 of this conversation. I feel very complete. But, last week I felt complete, and then Spirit woke me up with more stuff. So I don't know. Maybe Spirit will wake me up to more things again. So bye, everybody.